The so-called opening of eyes in Qingtian's Suicide Note is not like in Hong Kong and Taiwan ghost movies, where you can see monsters and ghosts by wiping your eyes with grapefruit leaves, but you can see the aura contained in the object itself. This ability is simply a miracle for a feng shui master. With it, you really have a unique advantage when it comes to finding dragon acupoints, arranging feng shui formations, and selecting feng shui instruments. Of course, this eye cannot be opened just by thinking. It needs to be inherited by an orthodox feng shui master and have a set of unique training methods of feng shui masters, and then there must be a chance to open the eye. Yi Feng has been practicing the mental method in Qingtian's Suicide Note secretly for many years, and has never felt anything special. As for why he suddenly opened his eyes today, I'm afraid it has nothing to do with the warm current that poured into Yi Feng's body after solving the funeral. It doesn't matter. Needless to say, Yi Feng was excited at this moment. He turned left and right on the antique street, and his new perspective made everything he saw feel novel. After walking around for 3 to 5 minutes, Yi Feng suddenly heard a noise coming from a stall on the roadside. A middle-aged man's voice explained to the people in front of the stall. "Miss, I'm telling you, don't believe me, this string of Buddhist beads is an old item. My grandfather was collecting firewood on Shenlong Peak and sprained his foot. He stayed overnight at Shenlong Temple. The abbot at that time, Master Wu Zhen, said that my grandfather had a connection with Buddhism, so he gave my grandfather this rosary passed down from hand to hand by 3 generations of abbots. This is a rare thing." The stall owner's explanation made Yi Feng couldn't help but take a few steps forward. After wandering around for a few times, he basically confirmed some things. Some things with strong yang energy such as tortoise shells were generally shrouded in a hazy white light in his eyes, while some things that seemed to Ming utensils, dug out of the ground or dark things such as locust and willow trees glow with black light. As for things like Buddha statues, they often have a hint of gold. If this string of Buddhist beads by the stall owner was really used by Master Wu Zhen of Shenlong Temple, what would it look like? Some people had gathered around the stall. The stall owner was a middle-aged man in his 30s. His clothes were very shabby and he looked very simple and honest. There wasn't even a mat under his butt, so he was squatting on the roadside. There was a handkerchief spread on the ground in front of him, and a string of antique Buddhist beads bracelets were placed on it. There are a total of 18 wooden beads on the bracelet of Buddhist beads. The color is lighter and seems to be made of mahogany. The 18 beads are respectively carved with 18 arhats. However, the scratches in some places are seriously worn and are no longer very clear. Looking at it really looks like an old thing. People around were squatting or standing, looking at the string of bracelets on the ground. Among them was a woman in her early 20s, wearing a black suit and skirt, who seemed to be particularly interested in this thing. After squatting in front of the stall and looking at it for a few times, I took the string of bracelets in my hand and looked at it carefully. "Sister, I won't hide it from you. I didn't plan to sell this thing at first." The middle-aged man sighed. "My father is a barefoot doctor. He treats the villagers and makes no money but loses money. This is the truth of the family. I have no choice, so I took out the things my grandfather passed down." The man's words were full of desolation. "Is that so?" The woman frowned slightly. Her voice was sweet and waxy, with a hint of cooing. She was obviously a tourist from the south. "Is this Buddhist bead really used by Master Wu Zhen?" "It's absolutely true, sister, I'm not going to lie to you. This string of beads is not made of valuable agarwood, sandalwood or anything like that. It's just peachwood beads. The value lies in the Buddha nature. If you don't believe me, just smell it. Although this bead is made of peach wood, it is full of sandalwood scent. Sister, this is the scent that comes from the Buddhist incense in the temple all year round." The stall owner looked frank and a little expectant. "Look at the woman." The young woman took the prayer beads in her hand and smelled it. She really smelled sandalwood that was not peach wood. She immediately believed it a little bit more. However, Yi Feng, who was watching on the side, let out an inaudible sound. Sneer. Not all antiques are sold in the antique street. There are also some souvenir stalls specially prepared for tourists. Next to this middle-aged man, there is a stall selling small jade Buddhas. They are the kind of products that you can tell are industrial products at a glance, and they sell quite a lot. They were cheap goods, but Yi Feng could still see an extremely faint golden light from those small jade Buddhas. Feng Shui pays attention to form and meaning, so although these jade Buddhas are made of poor quality and have not been consecrated, they still have a weak Buddha nature. The golden light on the middle-aged man's string of beads is almost undetectable, but there is an air of peace and harmony that he just saw on the street. The leeks in the basket of an ant who arrived were almost emitting white light. Although Master Wu Zhen has passed away long ago, he is still a very famous eminent monk in the Shenlong Peak area. Not to mention the Buddhist bead bracelets he used, even the shoes worn by the master are not of such poor quality. Let's talk about peach wood. The young energy of peach wood that is over 100 years old is very strong. How can it be comparable to leeks? This thing is obviously an artificially aged fake. Brother, how much do you plan to sell this string of beads? The young woman seemed to be really moved. Sister, you are from the south, right? I heard that you southerners believe this very much. Everything in Buddha's family is all about fate. I will tell you the real price. My old man plans to sell this thing. I will use the money to build a small clinic to treat more villagers. I won't ask for more from you. The price is 500,000. The middle-aged man held out 5 fingers. 500,000. What the woman said was a very ordinary question. She didn't look surprised at all, but Yi Feng was cursing her in his heart. The face of this liar seems honest, with a broad face and a long nose. However, Qing Tian's suicide note says, a broad face and a long nose are very clever. A donkey's face has no children, and a horse's face has no descendants. People with this kind of appearance love to plot others behind their backs for their own selfish purposes. They will lose their moral integrity and will eventually have no heirs. Women are inherently soft-hearted animals. Looking at the woman's calm question, it was obvious that the price was within her tolerance. $500,000 is not very expensive. The things used by Master Wu Zhen are worth the price. Just when the woman was about to continue discussing the deal with the middle-aged man, a voice suddenly came from the outside of the crowd, "Oh, who the hell pushed me?" And then someone staggered into the crowd and said, "Plop." He fell sideways towards the woman and fell between her and the stall owner. The woman was wearing a skirt. When she saw this, she immediately screamed. She subconsciously stretched out her hand to press the hem of the skirt to prevent it from being exposed. The prayer beads bracelet she was holding in her hand was thrown directly on the face of the man who fell to the ground. "Oh, my prayer beads." Just as the stall owner went to pick up the string of beads with a distressed look on his face, the man who fell on the ground quickly opened and closed his mouth at the woman. When the woman saw the man's mouth shape, she frowned immediately, but immediately relaxed and gave the man a knowing look. The young man who fell to the ground was naturally Yi Feng. He gestured to the woman with only 2 words, "Fake." Speaking of which, Yi Feng's approach is definitely against the rules in the antique street. The antique business is like this. There are holes and there are holes. It doesn't matter whether the thing is genuine or fake. Once the price is agreed upon, the 2 parties will buy it and leave it. Even if they buy it later, I found out that what I bought was a fake and I had no choice but to admit it. It was like spending money to learn a lesson. The reason why Yi Feng helped this woman was not because she was beautiful and elegant, but because the liar's words were really disgusting. You said there's nothing wrong with you making up lies. You insist on saying that your father is a barefoot doctor. The life of a poor and barefoot doctor like Uncle Lao Zhen is already very difficult, and he has to be used as a cover by these scammers to defraud others' trust. This makes Yifeng angry. In addition, Yifeng could also see that there was some dark energy in this woman. I am afraid that the antique beads were not bought for collection, but for other uses. I'm sorry, I didn't know who pushed me just now, and I fell in as soon as I mixed the garlic with my feet. I'm so sorry. Yifeng got up from the ground and apologized hurriedly. The stall owner had a simple and honest face, so it was not convenient for him to rebuke Yifeng with a fierce look at this time. He just held back and said a few words, "It's okay, the beads are not broken, young people should be careful when walking," and so on. Feng Yefeng left. After all, business is serious business. And Yifeng didn't have any communication with that woman anymore. It was good to meet her by chance and give her a chance. After walking around in a circle, Yifeng finally spotted a stall selling ancient coins. Copper coins are a commonly used feng shui instrument, and they are usually not expensive. If they are in good condition, Yifeng is willing to spend more than 10 or 20 yuan to buy one or two. The worst he can do is walk back to the village as he came. "Young man, what are you looking for? This pile, that pile over there is not suitable for you." The stall owner in his early 40s glanced at Yifeng with his triangular eyes, and pointed at a small pile next to him that looked like either rotten or fake copper coins were given to Yifeng to pick randomly. Yifeng naturally knew that the stall owner acted like this because he was wearing shabby clothes, but he didn't care. In fact, the copper coins used as feng shui instruments do not necessarily have to be real ancient copper coins. Copper coins have the function of gathering yang and can break many evil spirits. Among the several conditions that determine the effect of a copper coin on gathering yang, the first is the copper content. Antique coins cast in modern times often have a higher copper content than real ancient coins. If they can often be placed in a place with sufficient yang energy, some imitation antique coins are even more effective than real ancient coins that have been passed through thousands of hands. In the past, if Yifeng had to choose, he could only look at the appearance of the coins to see whether they were finely made, and then weigh the coins with his hands to estimate the copper content. It would often take a long time to find one or two coins that looked usable, but it's different now. He only needs to glance over it with his eyes and look at the light emitted by those copper coins to know whether something is good or bad. After looking around for a long time, there really wasn't anything good in that small pile of copper coins. The few ones that were well made were very dim, and some of the broken ones even exuded a light black aura. I don't know if it was dug out from an ancient tomb or somewhere else. It's full of bad luck. "Uncle, do you accept copper coins here?" A little boy's voice suddenly came from the side. Yifeng turned around and saw an 11 or 12-year-old boy standing in front of the stall holding a tea can, his face full of hope. Looking at triangular eyes. "Take it, show me what you have." A flash of light flashed in his triangular eyes. This was obviously a naughty kid who secretly took out the things at home in exchange for candy. "Well, my grandpa said, these are old things, but they are valuable," the boy said, unscrewing the lid and pouring out more than 20 copper coins with a crash sound. Yifeng glanced at it casually, but it was this moment that made him unable to look away anymore. The more than 20 copper coins poured out of the tea cans were of different condition, 4 of them were very well preserved, and the others showed some signs of wear. But even those 4 were enough to make the triangular-eyed stall owner happy. It was 4 copper coins minted in the Qing dynasty, 2 of which were Kangxi Tongbao, 1 Yongjing Tongbao, and 1 Qianlong Tongbao, all of which were 5 emperor coins. The 5 emperor coins now generally refer to the 5 emperor coins of the Qing dynasty, which are the ancient coins minted during the reigns of the 5 most prosperous emperors of the Qing dynasty, Xuanzhi, Kangxi, Yongjing, Qianlong and Jiaqing. These 5 emperors reigned for 180 years, which was the most glorious period of the Qing dynasty. The 5 emperors have the functions of blocking evil, preventing villains, avoiding evil, prospering and praying for blessings. Now many people have to wear the 5 emperor money. In some places in the south, when building a house, the 5 emperor money has to be thrown into the foundation to keep the house safe, so compared with other ancient coins, the price of the 5 emperor coins combined together has increased several times. The triangular eyes rolled, and he took out a green hairy grandfather from his waist bag and handed it to the little boy. Your copper coins are not worth anything, but my uncle sees you as cute. Son, take it, this is for you. Yi Feng couldn't help but secretly say that the heart of this triangular eye is black enough. Just the 4 intact 5 emperor coins can be sold at this price if they take out any one of them. This is really bullying children and being ignorant. However, there is this rule in the antique industry: buying and selling is a matter for both parties, and third parties cannot intervene casually. It's only 50 yuan, just such a small amount of money. It's not enough for me to invite my classmates to eat a family bucket. The little boy pouted unhappily. Obviously, the gap between this income and his expectation was a bit big. Son, uncle didn't lie to you because you were young. Triangle Eye said, grabbed the more than 20 copper coins and held them in the palm of his hand, and then pinched out one of them and shook it in front of the little boy's eyes. This copper coin was very badly worn. Almost no words could be seen, only 1 or 2 strokes could be vaguely seen. Son, look at what your copper plate has been ground into. If it weren't for my uncle seeing you cute, this kind of thing wouldn't be accepted at all. As he spoke, Triangle Eye picked out a few of the badly worn copper coins from the pile and shook them in front of the little boy's eyes. The triangular eye who was busy deceiving the child didn't notice it, and when he held the first copper coin in front of the little boy's eyes, an imperceptible light appeared in Yi Feng's eyes next to him. How so? Grandpa clearly said that this thing is a valuable good thing. Looking at the badly worn ones, the little boy was also a little deflated, and muttered, no, if you give me another $10, I'll sell it to you. Okay, who let uncle hurt you? Give, uncle will add 10 more yuan to you. Son, take it. The triangular eye didn't grind anymore, let alone add 10 yuan. Even if he added another 50, he would make a lot of money. When the little boy got the extra $10, he immediately smiled and ran away as if he had won a battle. Yi Feng lowered his head and pretended to continue to select copper coins, and didn't take another look at the triangular eye. The antique business is like this: there is no fixed price for things. Once the stall owner finds out that you have a fancy for something, it will inevitably be asking for a price. Yi Feng did take a fancy to one of the copper coins in the pile, but he didn't have much money, so he could only bet on whether this triangular eye was a knowledgeable person. Ding ding, the stall owner put the 4-5 emperor coins and some copper coins with better shape into the pile next to them, and the remaining ones that were seriously worn out were thrown into the pile that Yi Feng was looking at. Yi Feng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that half of the things were already in hand. Boss, can I try your copper coin? Yi Feng said as he took out a relatively smooth one from the pile of money, and shook it at the triangular eye. Try. What else do you want to try for copper coins? It was obviously the first time that Triangle Eyes heard that someone wanted to try for copper coins. My dad has caught a bit of cold. Why don't you let me buy medicine? Yi Feng shook the plastic bag containing the medicine toward his triangular eyes. I'm going to give him gua sha when I go back in the evening. I used the money-making machine at home. I lost my baby, and I just wanted to find one with no burrs, so I wouldn't scratch it again and scratch my back. Try it, it's no big deal. Triangle Eyes had just collected a bunch of good money at a low price, and was in a good mood, so he didn't say anything and signaled Yi Feng to try it, but it wouldn't be damaged even if he scratched it a few times. Yi Feng immediately put on a show, rolled up his left sleeve a little, picked a few at random, and took turns shaving them on his arms. Silk. I'll go, you can't see the burr unless you try it. After the first scrape, a fish line-like blood mark appeared on Yi Feng's arm, and he screamed half seriously in pain. Triangle Eyes was also happy to watch him self-abuse and didn't say anything. The copper coins used for scraping are not very particular. The smoother the better, so Yi Fengjing's move of picking some badly worn copper coins did not arouse any suspicion in Triangle Eyes. In the end, he selected 2 coins, one of which was the copper coin, that triangle I had first picked up to show to the little boy before, which was polished to only a trace of strokes. I don't have to choose, it's just these two. How much do they cost? Yi Feng stood up from the ground with the coins in his hands, pretending to thump his waist, looking like he was very tired. These two. Sanjian took the copper coins and took a look at them. One was so polished that he didn't even know what it was, and the other still had the word Guangbao left on it. It seemed to be a Daoguang Tongbao. 10 yuan each, take it if you want. After saying that, he threw it back to Yi Feng like trash. It's no wonder that the triangular eye looks down on these two copper coins. In the traditional Chinese concept of heaven and earth, there is a round sky and a square place. Copper coins are cast into round square holes, which also means that the sky is round and the earth is round. The emperor's reign name engraved on the copper coins represents people. Whether it is for collection or used as a magic weapon, it is a very important quality requirement to have the three talents of heaven, earth and man. The year titles of these two copper coins have been abolished. Without the human part, they are incomplete of the three talents and the foundation of knowledge. No one wants it. Is this thing 10 yuan apiece? Let me tell you, boss, it's too expensive. The pile you collected just now is only 60. Yi Feng's face was full of pain, but the pain was half real. He really doesn't have much money. Hey, little brother, what you said is wrong. Can the price for purchasing and shipping be the same? Triangle Eyes smiled disdainfully, saying in his heart, I knew you were a poor guy, and you want something worth 20 yuan. Bargain. TSK. Yi Feng smacked his tongue, and took turns to scratch his arm twice with copper coins. Finally, he put the Daoguang Tongbao back into the money pile, took out $10 and handed it to Sanjian. Forget it, I just want one. Okay, little brother, remember to buy it from me next time if you lose it. I'll keep the one for you. Triangle Eyes happily put the $10 into his pocket, but he didn't see that he had already turned around. The corners of Yi Feng's mouth twitched uncontrollably. I didn't expect that the first time I picked up a leak in the antique street, I picked up such a big one. The first time Yi Feng saw the pile of copper coins, he was attracted by this broken copper coin. Just like the little boy's grandfather said, this small jar of copper coins is really a good thing. Those 4 coins each of the 5 emperors' money is in excellent condition. In Yi Feng's eyes, it emits a strong white light that represents sufficient yang energy. Each of them is a good feng shui instrument. However, compared with the broken coin on hand, those 4-5 emperors' coins are nothing. To use a simple analogy, if the light of 4-5 emperors' coins is like an incandescent lamp, the light of this broken coin is simply like the sun, and there is a long golden object faintly moving around in the light. If this thing is not a good thing, then his eyes are really in vain. Yi Feng tried hard to conceal the ecstasy in his heart, while playing with the copper coins, he walked towards the antique street. Young man, wait a minute. Seeing that there were still more than 30 meters to go to the street, Yi Feng suddenly felt his shirt tightening, and someone pulled him from behind. The coins almost fell from his hands and fell to the ground. When he looked back, he saw that it was an old man with a kind face wearing an elegant Tang suit, but that kind face was now full of anxiety. Old man, what's the matter with you? Yi Feng was a little confused. Did the old man lose his wallet or something? Could it be that he is the kind of liar who always says to people, I am visiting relatives from out of town, and I have spent all the money without finding it? Can you give me some money to buy a steamed bun to eat? He doesn't look like him. Even though he's well dressed, he doesn't look like a rich man. Can you show me the copper coin in your hand, just one glance, and I'll take a look at it, okay? The old man's body was trembling a little when he spoke. Yi Feng even wondered if he would reject it outright. He rolled his eyes and jerked away. Yi Feng was a little hesitant. Although Qing Tian's Suicide Note is a unique book, Yi Feng is not so arrogant as to think that he is the only one in the world who has the ability to open eyes. Could it be that the old man in front of him has also noticed it? What's different about this copper coin? People around him gradually gathered around when they saw the situation here. Yi Feng was a little embarrassed. It was quite rude to stop others from looking at the objects in other people's hands in this antique street. However, such an old man wanted to see it. Yi Feng couldn't say anything at the sight of a broken copper coin. After thinking for a moment, Yi Feng nodded and handed the copper coin to the old man's hand. With so many people around here, he was not afraid that the old man would default on the bill or run away with the copper coin. The old man took the copper coin tremblingly, took out his reading glasses from his jacket pocket, put them on, and looked at the side of the coin where traces of strokes were faintly visible, and looked at it carefully. Yi Feng felt a little unsure. At first, the old man's hands were shaking, and after looking at it for a while, his lips began to tremble. This made Yi Feng couldn't help but start to wonder if there was a quick-acting Jiuxin pill in the medicine he bought. Suddenly, the old man took out a handkerchief from his pocket, put it under the copper coins, handed it to Yi Feng with both hands, then knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Yi Feng with a pop sound.